Chosen one. Stop for a moment, take a deep breath, and listen carefully, because there are moments in life when you look around and everything seems to be against you. One problem appears, then another. One door closes, then another. Someone disappoints you, then something else goes wrong. You try to stay positive. You try to keep believing. You tell yourself that things will eventually change, but deep inside, you're exhausted. And perhaps you've reached a point where you are asking God, how much longer? How much longer do I have to wait? How much longer do I have to fight? How much longer do I have to deal with the same situation? How much longer before something finally changes? Chosen one. God sees that question. He sees the tears you don't show people. He sees the nights when you lie awake thinking about everything that could go wrong. He sees the pressure you've been carrying. He sees the moments when you smile in front of everyone and then become silent when you're alone. And God says, I know you're tired, but this battle is not the end of your story. You may see a wall. God sees a way through. You may see a dead end. God sees another road. You may see a closed door. God sees another entrance. You may see impossible circumstances. God sees possibilities you cannot yet understand. Chosen one. The biggest mistake you can make in a difficult season is assuming that what you see is all that exists. Your eyes can only see the present, but God sees what comes next. You see today's problem. God sees tomorrow's solution. You see the struggle. God sees what the struggle is producing inside you. You see the delay. God sees the preparation. You see the battle. God sees the victory that can come from it. That's why you cannot allow one difficult chapter to convince you that the entire book is going to end badly. It won't. Your story is still being written. Chosen one. Think about the Israelites standing before the Red Sea. Behind them was an army. In front of them was water. From a human perspective, there appeared to be nowhere to go. They couldn't move forward. They couldn't safely go backward. They were trapped between two impossible situations, and perhaps you felt like that. You look behind you, and you don't want to return to your past. You look ahead, and you don't see a clear path. You feel stuck in the middle. But the Red Sea was not the end. It was the place where a way appeared, where there seemed to be no way. Chosen one. Sometimes. God doesn't remove the obstacle before you arrive at it. Sometimes He allows you to reach the place where your own strength ends. So you discover that His possibilities don't end there. That's why you shouldn't panic simply because you don't see the solution yet. The solution doesn't have to be visible today for it to exist tomorrow. God says, stop judging my ability by the size of your problem. Your problem may be large, but God is not limited by the size of it. Chosen one. Maybe your battle right now is financial. You're working, trying, saving, planning, but somehow, the numbers still don't make sense. You wonder how you're going to handle everything. You wonder when things will finally become stable. You pray for an opportunity that can change your situation, and perhaps you've begun believing that nothing will ever improve. Don't let temporary pressure create permanent hopelessness. Your current financial situation is a circumstance, not your identity. You are not your bank balance. You are not your current income. You are not the mistakes you made with money. You can learn, you can improve, you can rebuild, you can begin again, and sometimes the breakthrough begins with something very small. A new skill, a new idea, a new opportunity, a better decision, a new connection, a change in direction. Never underestimate a small beginning. Chosen one. Maybe your battle is emotional. You've been hurt. You've been disappointed. Someone broke your trust. Someone said things that stayed in your mind. Maybe you've been carrying pain from a relationship that ended. And even though you don't talk about it anymore, part of you is still affected by it. You ask yourself, why did they do that? Why wasn't I enough? Why did they leave? Why did I trust them? Chosen one. Don't let someone else's decision become the definition of your worth. Someone leaving doesn't mean you were worthless. Someone rejecting you doesn't mean you were unlovable. Someone failing to appreciate you doesn't mean you had no value. Sometimes, people simply don't have the capacity to recognize what they have. And sometimes, God allows certain people to leave because they cannot walk into the future with you. That doesn't mean the relationship meant not chosen one. Maybe your battle is your own mind. You overthink everything. You imagine worst-case scenarios. You replay conversations. You worry about tomorrow. You regret yesterday. You constantly ask yourself, what if? What if it fails? What if they leave? What if I don't succeed? What if I make the wrong decision? What if nothing changes? But here's something you need to understand. You cannot build tomorrow by constantly being afraid of it. Fear will always create a reason not to move. Faith asks a different question. Instead of asking, what if everything goes wrong? Ask, what if I make it through? What if you become stronger? What if you learn? What if the opportunity comes? What if your life changes? What if the thing you're afraid of never happens? Chosen one, you have spent enough time imagining negative futures. Start allowing yourself to imagine a better one. Not fantasy, not denial, hope. Hope says, my circumstances are difficult today, but tomorrow can still be different. That's powerful. Chosen one. There is another thing God wants you to understand. You are not required to fight every battle. Some battles are not yours. Some arguments don't deserve your energy. Some people don't deserve access to your peace. Some accusations don't require an answer. Some misunderstandings don't need to be corrected. Sometimes, the strongest response is silence. You don't have to prove yourself to everyone. You don't have to explain every decision. You don't have to convince people who have already decided what they want to believe. Keep your peace, keep your focus, keep moving. Because when you know where you're going, you don't have time to stop at every distraction. Chosen one, maybe you've been fighting so hard that you've forgotten to rest. You think resting means you're giving up. It doesn't. Even Jesus withdrew from the crowds. Even strong people need rest. You are not a machine. Your body needs rest. Your mind needs quiet. Your heart needs peace. Sometimes, the next breakthrough doesn't require you to work harder. It requires you to recover. God says, rest is not quitting. Rest is preparation for the next step. Chosen one. So if you're tired today, rest. But don't surrender. If you're crying, cry. But don't surrender. If you're confused, pause. But don't surrender. If the door is closed, wait. But don't surrender. If the road is unclear, take the next responsible step. But don't surrender. Because you don't know what is waiting around the corner. Chosen one. Think about how quickly life can change. One phone call can change your direction. One opportunity can introduce you to a completely different world. One person can connect you with something important. One decision can end an old cycle. One idea can become a business. One moment of courage can create a new beginning. You cannot predict all of that from today's circumstances. That's why hope matters. Hope keeps you moving, long enough to discover what tomorrow contains. Chosen one. Maybe you've been asking God for a miracle, but perhaps you're also being asked to take action. Pray, and then prepare. Believe, and then work. Ask, and then move. Faith isn't an excuse for doing nothing. Sometimes, your prayer is answered through the action you are willing to take. If you want a new career, learn. If you want financial improvement, develop skills. If you want healthier relationships, develop boundaries. If you want peace, stop feeding the things that constantly disturb it. If you want a different future, you have to be willing to make different decisions. God says, I can open the door, but you still have to be willing to walk through it. Chosen one. Your current battle may be teaching you something you will need later. The patience you're developing will help you when success comes. The discipline you're building will help you protect what you receive. The wisdom you're gaining will help you recognize the wrong opportunities. The pain you're surviving may give you compassion for someone else. The failure you're experiencing may teach you how to succeed differently next time. Nothing has to be wasted. God can use even the difficult chapters. Chosen one. That's why you should stop saying, "My life is falling apart." Instead, ask, "What is this season trying to teach me?" That question can change everything. Maybe it's teaching you patience, maybe boundaries, maybe courage, maybe humility, maybe discipline, maybe forgiveness, maybe independence, maybe trust. Maybe it's teaching you that you don't need everyone to stay. Maybe it's teaching you that your worth doesn't depend on external validation. Whatever the lesson, learn it. Because you don't want to keep repeating,